immortality. To harness it requires a magical force. But is it worth being a dead horse? We're talking about Death of a Unicorn today on Grover Served. Hi, I'm Tanner Grover. Today we're talking about A24's latest, Death of a Unicorn. It's a horror comedy that doesn't really lean into the horror and it doesn't really lean into the comedy. But before we get into the details, if you could go ahead and smash that subscribe button, as if you were Paul Rudd and you happen to smash your car into a unicorn. Your airbags don't deploy, but hey, it's another movie car crash. Do the airbags ever deploy? I'd really appreciate your support. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that notification bell so hopefully more of me shows up in your feed. A friendly reminder that Grover Served is not a spoiler-free show. If I were to equate a unicorn to a person, I would look no further than 7'4" basketball player Victor Wembanyama. He's a freak of nature. He can handle the ball like a guard and shoot threes with ease. He's unique, and I was hoping that this creature feature would also be unique. But I kind of felt it was a little dull. Let's get into it. Elliot Kittner, played by Paul Rudd, is driving along the windy roads of the Leopold Wilderness Reserve with his daughter Ridley, played by Jenna Ortega. Together, they are on their way to meet with Odell Leopold, who's Elliot's boss. Odell is the head of a pharmaceutical company, but he's terminally ill. Ridley isn't too enthralled about the idea of spending her weekend with a bunch of obnoxious rich people. But Elliot thinks that this is going to be the opportunity of a lifetime. With Odell on his deathbed, Elliot is hoping to take this weekend to convince him to make him partner. This would provide financial stability for him and Ridley, whose relationship has really been strained as of late due to the sudden passing of Ridley's mom. All of this exposition happens in the opening sequence of the film. It does a really great job of building tension. As you can tell, our two main characters are distracted from the road. And then all of a sudden, they hit a unicorn. The two step out of the car to inspect the carnage. Ridley, in disbelief of what she's seeing, instinctively grabs a hold of the unicorn horn. This causes her to go into some sort of cosmic trance and have hallucinogenic visions. Elliot, freaked out that she's having a seizure, grabs a tire iron and then beats the unicorn to a purple, bloodied pulp. Now right here, the film, it could be over. All they had to do was get in their car and drive away. You know, I live in rural Maine, and once upon a time, we had a deer with our car, killing it. Did we put it in the back seat and continue on our journey? No. We called the police and we let them deal with it. But what did they do? They put the unicorn in the back of their car and they head to the Leopolds. Upon arrival, business discussions get underway almost immediately. Odell's flanked by his wife Belinda, who's very accustomed to her life of luxury, as well as their son Shepard. He's a toxic frat bro. He's got big ideas but no substance behind them. Collectively, they remind me of really intolerable personalities from Bravo's Southern Charm. The crew hears a loud ruckus and heads outside to see what all the commotion is, where they discover that the unicorn is alive and really pissed off. The Leopold's assistants put a bullet to its head, seemingly killing it once and for all. Amidst all the chaos, it's discovered that the unicorn's blood has healing properties, as droplets of it that fell on Ridley's face, as well as Elliot's, have cleared up both her acne and seemingly restored his vision to 20/20. This has Odell wondering what else could be healed by this corpse, and he instructs his scientists to dissect it thoroughly. They go ahead and grind away some of the unicorn horn and develop a concoction that actually cures his cancer. It's a miracle of modern medicine. The Leopolds hope to monetize this, help the rich get richer, and ultimately live forever. All the sinister things that you would expect from such cartoonish villains. They pursue all this despite Ridley doing her own research. she's discovered the unicorn tapestries, which are actually very real tapestries that warn against humans messing with unicorn lore. Of course, no one heeds Ridley's warnings. I mean, why would they? No one listens to the angsty teenager in a horror film. Without getting too much more into the details, let's just say that Mommy and Daddy Unicorn come searching for baby, and they proceed in very swift fashion to find new and inventive ways to impale virtually every cast member by way of unicorn horn. This all leads to a climactic finish. Before I go ahead and rate this film, if you could remember to subscribe to the channel, especially if you like what you're seeing here, I'd really appreciate your support. Alright, I'm going to have to go ahead and give Death of a Unicorn 3 glasses of wine. This is a horror comedy, and it just wasn't that funny. There are plenty of moments that'll just make you go, heh. And a large part of that is just due to Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd. Will Poulter is decent as Shepard, but there's nothing in here that's going to make me revisit it because it's a funny movie. Then there's the horror piece. So we have unicorns, and they have horns. And I get it, you can stab your victims. But that's all they did here. They also had teeth and hooves that just weren't utilized. Let's also talk about it being a creature feature. Creature features are memorable because of the creatures. What we got here was just a lot of bad CGI. The best example to me is the movie Gremlins. I think that scene where they go and see Snow White, they're in the theater, freaking out, trashing the place, tearing up the concession stands, all that's really memorable. Nothing about the unicorns is going to be memorable for me. Overall, it was kind of a dud. But let me know what you thought of Death of a Unicorn. Have you seen it? And also, go ahead and let me know what are some of your favorite creature features. Alright, appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in to Groverserved.